You're listening to a main feed episode. Go to patreon.com/Celtic Ligers where €5 a month gets you weekly full-length episodes, stray bonus content and access to the back catalogue. Also helps cover hosting and gives us money for sweeties. Thank you. Celtic Ligers.
Recorded 28th of January 2025.
And we're recording.
Welcome
to
the hit podcast, Celtic Ligers.
Yeah, the soon-to-be hit podcast, currently shit podcast. Am I right, folks? Nah, I'm just playing.
I downloaded that Deepseek.
Deepseek, is that a freaking some of the Beatles went to or something, is it, huh? Some fella the Beatles went to. Yeah.
You actually delivered on that one. Well done. It's a Chinese AI.
Yeah, I love people have pointed it out, but I don't care. It's really funny that these guys, Sam Altman, he was like, people are going to have to change their lives in a drastic way so that AI can be dominant.
I still expect, although I don't know what, and this is over a long period of time. This is not a like next year or, the year after that kind of thing. But over a long period of time, I still expect that there will be some change required to the social contract, given how powerful we expect this technology to be. I'm not a believer that there won't be any jobs. I think we always find new things to do. But I do think like the whole structure of society itself will, be up for some degree of debate and reconfiguration.
And then a few days later, it's like, okay, NVIDIA stock just dropped like hundreds of billions.
I know.
And it's like, fuck you guys. Fuck you so much. The amount of fucking... And the other thing about it, the way that the Chinese did it, is just that like they kind of
open source.
It's open source, but also the fact that they just did it and they didn't do a fuss about it. You know, the way the Americans, for it's like, 2 years, they've been like, oh my God, an AI chatbot said hello to me, and now I think that it's going to replace like human reproduction or something, and like you need to pay me millions and billions so that I don't abuse this, and then I'm going to use it to destroy Hollywood screenwriters. Like this weird thing that they were doing constantly of like, we should never do anything with AI, so that's why you should pay me to be merciful with the AI that I'm now going to invest in doing. And then the Chinese are just like, yeah, here it is, and it does all the same stupid shit that AI does normally. No fuss about it. Thank you very much. And they're like losing their shit. I mean, I put some screen grabs in the chat.
Okay, sure. Here's a short summary of a fictional Simpsons episode.
That's the way we judge these things.
Where Homer goes on the hash. Complete with some classic Simpsons style humor. Title: Homer's Hash Venture.
Hash Venture.
Hajj.
Okay.
Homer accidentally wins a free trip to Mecca after entering a contest at the Quickie Mart.
Okay.
He thought he was signing up for a lifetime supply of donuts.
That sounds like him.
It does.
He loves donuts.
Realizing it's a pilgrimage, Homer decides to go anyway, figuring it'll be like a spiritual spring break.
Okay.
Marge warns him to be respectful, but Homer packs his Homer Simpson's Guide to World Religions, which is actually just a comic book, and a suitcase full of beer.
Yeah.
Upon arrival, Homer's overwhelmed by the crowds and the rules. He tries to trade his Hifram for a Hawaiian shirt, claiming it's more breathable. When he's told he can't wear it, he grumbles, "This is worse than the time I had to wear a tie to church."
Pulling up Deepseek and going, "Hey Deepseek, what's a Hifram? Fuck is that?"
During the tawaf circling the Kaaba, Homer gets dizzy and accidentally starts running in the opposite direction, causing chaos. A kind pilgrim helps him, but Homer mishears Haj as hodgepodge and spends the rest of the day trying to figure out what that means.
Much like me with this freaking episode of The Simpsons, huh?
At Mount Arafat's sermon, Homer dozes off and dreams that he's at an all-you-can-eat buffet. He wakes up shouting, "I'll take the shrimp platter." Only to realize he's disrupted a solemn moment. The crowd glares and Homer nervously says, Amen? By the end of the pilgrimage, Homer surprisingly finds himself moved by the experience. He tries to explain it to Marge over the phone, but gets distracted when he sees a camel and yells, "Marge, it's like a horse with a hump. I'm riding it."
Marge, it's like a horse with a hump, Marge. Huh?
The episode ends with Homer back in Springfield wearing his ihram to church and telling Reverend Lovejoy, "I'm multi-faith now. Call me Homer Adeen."
Alright. Here's what I want to know, though. Type it in there. What would happen if the Simpsons went to freaking Israel?
Muslim? What if Homer became Muslim?
What if Homer went to freaking Israel?
Well, that might go a little something like, Homer finds his Umrah. I'll read this one quickly. Because these are the prompts I put in last time.
So you're just like stepping on my line to just deliver your one.
I've already done this. This is pre-prepared. You always complain I don't do anything. I've done this. I've got a Chinese computer.
See, the joke is that the Simpsons have already been to Israel. Okay.
Homer finds his Ummah. The episode begins with Homer getting kicked out from Moe's Tavern for running up a debt he can't pay. Dejected, he stumbles into a mosque while chasing a runaway donut.
They're already fixated on the donuts, aren't they? Yeah.
He doesn't really eat donuts anymore.
Not anymore, no.
And he doesn't really drink Duff beer.
I think, I don't know what information they're drawing from, but
Chinese.
But they're the most popular things to be put on posters and t-shirts and stuff like that. Is Homer drinking beer or Homer eating donuts? It's the most visual.
Yeah.
Sort of.
When the Imam he sits through a lecture about Islam. When the Imam mentions that alcohol is forbidden, Homer faints dramatically. I guess the Islam guy was going over the basics in his speech. Later, Homer tells Marge she's thinking about converting to Islam. Marge is skeptical but supportive, saying,
even despite
as long as it makes you happy, Homer. Even though,
he's just going he's going to convert to Islam, even though he fainted because at the first fucking hurdle,
Yeah. The Chinese have a different sense of narrative to the Western ear, into the Western mind, you know what I mean? Their stories are always sort of circular or rhythmic in a different way. As long as it makes you happy, Bart immediately starts calling him Homer Adeen. Recycling a joke from the last episode.
Yeah.
At least excitedly researches his... I wonder if that is a callback. Lisa excitedly researches Islamic art and culture, hoping Homer will finally embrace something intellectual. Homer's first attempt at practicing Islam goes hilariously wrong. He tries to pray but gets stuck in a kneeling position and yells, "Marge, I'm broken. Marge, I'm broken. Call a mechanic." When he learns about fasting during Ramadan, he declares no food and faints. He then tries to sneak a donut into the bathroom, but gets caught by Bart, who blackmails him into buying him a new skateboard.
Homer.
Yeah. I think the implication there is Bart is blackmailing him under the impression that he'll get stoned to death. You know what I mean?
Not very nice. I
think nice thing
not very nice thing to do to your... Yeah. His sons should look after their fathers.
Homer, you're not wearing your burqa. I'm going to have to report you to the
The secret police.
No, the other chap. Ayatollah Khomeini.
Mm.
I mean, he already has the t-shirt.
Yes, he does. I was actually also thinking about the part, if the Ayatollah can handle it, no one can. And I don't know who's saying, I think it's Milhouse, and he got Bart's soul, and he's like running his toys over
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I think that's what
Yeah.
it was.
Things take a turn when Homer befriends a group of Muslim Springfieldians at the mosque.
Mm.
They invite him to a
Doesn't sound
community
right.
potluck.
Doesn't sound right. You're
Yeah.
telling me somebody in Springfield, and they're not an illegal. They're
Yeah,
Muslim as well. So
Just because you're born there doesn't make you from Springfield, you know?
mm.
They invite him to a community potluck, and Homer's thrilled to
It's like-
discover...
Look, you know what? My skin's yellow. It doesn't make me a Simpson, okay?
Homer's thrilled to discover that halal donuts exist. He bonds with them over their shared love of food and family values.
I don't know, why was that in doubt? I mean,
Even though he keeps mispronouncing halal as hula. Halal. Bard, we're going. Is this hula? The climax comes when Homer is asked to give a speech at the mosque about why he converted. Nervously, he just rambles about donuts, avoiding Duff beer, and how he just really likes the hats.
mm.
When he sees the supportive smiles of his new friends, he genuinely opens up about feeling accepted and having a sense of purpose.
Mm.
The crowd cheers and Homer he proudly declares, "I'm not just Homer Simpson anymore, I'm Homer Adeen."
And then it ends when the credits roll, and it's the executive producer James L. Brooks, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, James X. The episode ends with Homer back at home wearing his cuffie and trying to teach Maggie how to pray.
Yeah.
Marge smiles and says, "I'm proud of you, Homer." To which he replies, "Thanks, Marge. Now where's my halal bacon?"
You know what? Dude, because you've actually done that already with ChatGPT, and it made absolutely no sense. Whereas now, Deepseek has ended on an actual joke, you know?
Yeah. I wrote an episode about the Simpsons going to Israel.
Yeah.
Going to an Israeli death camp. I won't do it.
Interesting. I heard that
Oh wait, do you know why?
you put death in there.
It thinks it's the Holocaust.
Yeah.
I had a similar episode about Homer going to Israel.
Israel. Hell.
1970. When was the 6 Days War?
I don't understand. I'm Googling it. 1967.
Certainly. Okay. Here's the last one.
Moving on.
The episode begins with Homer accidentally breaking Mr. Burns' prize antique radio while cleaning it. While trying to fix it, he electrocutes himself and wakes up in 1967.
Okay.
What do we say?
1967.
Yeah, in the middle of Tel Aviv. Confused and disorientated, Homer stumbles into a kibbutz, where he's mistaken for a new volunteer.
Oh. Oh.
He decides to roll with it. This is showing a very different side of Homer. Hey, free food and no Marge nagging me to mow the lawn.
Yeah, that bitch. I might as well just kill some Palestinians. Be free of that.
Mow down some innocent people. Homer quickly becomes a hit at the kibbutz, thanks to his innovative farming techniques, like using a slingshot to plant seeds and teaching locals.
A slingshot? This is the worst method of planting seeds as well. So you don't need a slingshot.
It's also Bart's. Okay. Like using a slingshot to plant seeds and teaching locals how to make Duff beer out of wheat.
Yeah.
However, his laid-back attitude clashes with the seriousness of the times as tensions are rising.
Try to fucking make Duff beer in the Gaza Strip. They'll throw you off the top of a fucking building, okay?
Yeah, unless it's halal.
Yeah, I should be halal beer.
His laid-back attitude clashes with the seriousness of the times as tensions are rising in the region.
Mm-hmm.
When someone mentions the 6-Day War, Homer thinks they're talking about a new boxing event and starts taking bets.
I like the idea of, like, they mentioned the 6-Day War. I was like, would they have known what it was called while it was happening?
Yeah. Do they know when it was ending? Like,
yeah.
As the war breaks out, Homer accidentally joins an Israeli tank crew.
Okay, he accidentally joins. He keeps accidentally joining the IDF. I think Homer might be.
He's done it twice already. He bonds with this after mistaking the tank for a really cool RV.
He did drive an RV before, so that's at least
the first episode to air on Sky One. The RV episode.
Nice. Some good trivia.
I felt really bad for them when they bought that RV. He bonds with the soldiers who are baffled by his ignorance, but charmed by his optimism.
That is kind of what's so charming about Homer. He's like, I think, was it John Swartzwelder said that when he wrote for Homer, he was imagining he was writing for a golden retriever. You know? Yeah. So like.
That is murderous. A golden pit. What do they call them? Monster pit bull.
XL bully.
XL bully. At one point, Homer tries to cook a meal on the tank's engine, yelling, "Who needs a kitchen when you've got 400 horsepower?" During a pivotal moment, Homer's bumbling somehow saves the day. He accidentally launches a crate of hummus at the enemy.
Shut up. No, that made me mad now. I don't like it when they try to take credit for fucking hummus and falafel and all that. They're like, only in Israel. You're like, fuck off.
It's causing them to stop.
We already said this as well, but like
fighting.
In Kitchen Nightmares, when the Israelis have when I discovered that the Israelis have co-opted Yallah, when they say Yallah, it's like,
oh yeah,
Allah is in the fucking, how dare you? I can't believe that you're doing that.
The soldiers declare him a hero, and Homer proudly says, "I guess you could call me Homer Adeen. No, I guess you could say I'm the falafel of the team."
Shut up. Assholes.
As war ends, Homer begins to miss his family. A wise old kibbutz member tells him about a mystical artifact that can send him back to the future. Homer follows the clues to the Wailing Wall.
Oh my god.
He accidentally knocks over a stone, revealing a hidden time portal. Bit of a clunky ending. Before leaving, he writes a note on a piece of paper that says, "Dear God, thanks for the hummus. Love, Homer."
Well, the previous one was good, but this one, I don't know. I think they're this is late era Simpsons, you know? They should have specified, like, the previous one you were like, can you write one from the 90s? And they end on a joke. Yeah. And then this one, it's like, Al Jean just phoning it in. They're getting paid Disney money to make an ad for, Disney Plus anniversary.
Homer returns to the present, where he finds a note still in the wall, thanks to a photo that Lisa shows him. Moved by his experience, he's tried to explain it from the family, but gets distracted when he sees a falafel stand and yells,
God.
I'm a war hero. That means free food, right? The episode ends with Homer back at the kibbutz in present day. Homer, did you learn nothing? Trying to teach the
Accidentally.
modern volunteers. Trying to teach the modern day volunteers his ancient farming secrets. Marge sighs and says, Homer, you're impossible. To which he says, no, Marge, I'm historic.
They love Homer in these, don't they? They didn't like you just said an episode of The Simpsons, and each time they've been like, Homer does this. It's like, what? It can't be a Bart episode?
Okay, I gave you a Bart episode.
No. That's enough of that. That's enough of that. Is there a bit of a delay? Should I? Hello?
I don't know if you like this one.
Well, like disconnect and reconnect because there's a bit of a delay, I think.
Can you not hear me?
I can, but it's like 5-second delay. Like,
It's called Bart Goes to Gaza.
no, I definitely don't want to hear that. Can you tell me if there's a delay? I'd much prefer to talk about all the technical issues on our show than the episode that you were talking about there.
I'm just gonna flick through it and see how it goes. Okay. Good. That's fine. That is fine. Maybe a bit apolitical, considering. But
Wait, so what I'm imagining here is that, like, you know, they go, oh, Bart goes to Gaza. Now, does he accidentally join the IDF as well? Or is it a case that, like, why is it that they always have to join the IDF? Could they not accidentally join Hamas? And then here's the thing. Homer joins Hamas because he saw, ass. And he loves ass as well, I guess, in this one. He loves...
what was that? Where Homer joins Hamas. Now, it was really just Homer. There's only one weird bit in it, but it's not even bad.
Okay.
I'll fly through it. Okay, this is honestly the last
Jesus, all right.
one. The episode begins with Bart getting into trouble at school for pulling a prank on Skinner.
All right. Classic.
Involving a fake history test. There was actually a coupon for free falafel.
Shut up.
Well, what's wrong with that? Falafel.
Yeah, well, I just think I know where it's going. It's not going to be like he's, influenced by Arabs. He's going to be influenced by Israelis, isn't it?
You're wrong, man. Wait till you hear what the Chinese have to say. They're wise people. Lisa suggests Bart learn about the world by, as punishments, Skinner assigns Bart to write a report on global citizenship. Odd one. Lisa suggests Bart learn about the world by actually experiencing the world, so Bart sneaks onto a cargo ship headed for the Mediterranean.
Uh-oh.
After a series of mishaps, Bart ends up in Gaza,
Oh,
where he's
God.
immediately mistaken for a foreign journalist due to his camera and notebook. A local boy named Yusuf takes Bart under his
You
wing.
really don't want to be a journalist in Gaza. I'm telling you now.
A local boy named Yusuf. He also don't want to be a local boy, I think. Takes Bart under his wing, showing him around the bustling streets. Bart is fascinated by the vibrant culture, especially the street food. He declares that the shawarma is better than crusty burgers, and that's saying something. Bart's prankster nature gets him into trouble when he accidentally launches a firework from a market stall,
Uh-oh.
causing chaos. The locals chase him, but Yusuf helps him escape, laughing and saying, "You're crazy, I like you." Bart starts to see Gaza not as a place of conflict, but as a community full of life, resilience, and kids just like him.
Yeah, okay.
When Bart learns about the challenges Yusuf and his family face...
Hey, wait. What about Bart just suddenly starts speaking Arabic for absolutely no reason? You remember? Remember when he was in France?
Oh, yeah. Well, he was immersed in the language for longer.
Yeah, like 2 weeks as opposed to 1, you know?
One day of pranking. When Bart learns about the challenges Yusuf and his family face, doesn't go into what those challenges might be.
No.
He decides to use his prank skills for good. He organizes a massive game of tag across the neighborhood.
That's a good prank.
Bringing kids from different areas together. The game turns into a joyful, unifying event, and Bart proudly declares, "Who knew causing trouble could actually solve trouble?"
It's not just causing trouble at all. Organizing a game of tag is just a bit of fun. It's not even nothing.
Here's the line that it's just an odd choice.
Okay.
But when you think about it, as Bart decides to leave, Yusuf gives him a handmade kite as a gift. Wasn't there like a load of stuff in the news about kids flying kites and just an odd...
I think there was a protest about kites or something like that. I could be entirely wrong about this, but I believe it was to do with drones as some sort of protest where you put up kites, and naturally the Israelis responded very well to it.
Bart promises to send Yusuf a skateboard in return, saying, You're gonna love grinding on olive crates.
Olive crates.
Back in Springfield, Bart presents his report to class, using his experiences to teach everyone about empathy and understanding. Skinner is impressed, but still gives Bart a detention for skipping school. The episode ends with Bart flying Yusuf's kite on the Simpsons family roof, with Lisa joining him, saying, "You know, Bart, you might have actually learned something."
Okay.
Bart grins and replies, "Yeah, but don't tell anyone. I've got a reputation to respect."
He's grinning. He's smiling because he knows.
Protect.
You know what? I'll give you this one. I did learn something. Well, that was great.
I think we just learned that the Chinese really know how to do it.
Yeah, they fucking nailed Homer. Okay. Or Homer Adeen,
Yeah.
should I say. And they're little,
Let's just say the Chinese deserve that Duff beer
yeah.
that I'm sure they're having.
Yeah, the halal Duff beer. They'll come up with the halal version. I know the Chinese, they always manage to come up with some better version of something.
Yeah.
I mean, this is...
And it'll be free.
This will be like... Well, actually, maybe I'll put this one... Nah, fuck, who cares? I had some like images of people freaking out about Deepseek. Like, I liked how this guy goes, Deepseek is a CCP state psyop and economic warfare to make American AI unprofitable. They are faking the cost was low to justify setting price low and hoping everyone switches to it, damage AI competitiveness in the US. Don't take the bait. And that was written by @Neil Closa. I judge myself on what my 8 and 80-year-old selves would think. CEO of @Curai HQ, an AI-powered virtual clinic on a mission to improve access to care at scale. So he's very upset.
Well, first of all, AI has never been profitable.
No.
Like, I don't think you could... Like, even if you love AI, there's no possible way of saying it's profitable.
Yeah.
Like, it's never returned a profit.
No.
It's all like... Like, I'd say if you asked Sam Altman, he'd be like, yes, this is all speculative investment. It's going to pay off, but
Yeah.
not profitable.
I don't know. I wouldn't. Sam Altman wouldn't admit that. But you're right. The whole thing is that these people are hype men, and they're like, get in on the ground floor on this thing, and when it fucking takes off, as opposed to now where it's like completely plateauing, and then people are like, I guess these are the kind of, for the near and potentially long-term future, the uses of AI are going to be fairly, like they're not really going to be any, like, they're not going to be as like the science fantasy that these fucking guys have been talking about, you know?
Yeah, I think for some things it would be good, but then like the stuff they used it for has been like, I already say this. Did you see on Facebook they introduced community moderators that were AI? Like AI. And the one one of those prominent ones was, they were like, she's a black single mother, which is already an odd. Of all the black characters you could have made, a single mother. And then she's just like a walking racist stereotype.
Yeah.
And then they asked her like, they asked her who wrote you? Who are the coders? And he was like, 6 white men.
Yeah.
We should get one for the podcast.
We should.
A traveler man.
Yeah, that'd be a good way to do it. Yeah. What would that be like?
Wait, did you see, you know Martin Ward?
Yeah.
He was on First Dates.
I think I knew that, but I didn't remember. Like,
With a woman.
no, I didn't. I definitely didn't know that. All right, well,
And he's a different name.
it's very weird. What's that about?
I have no idea. He's already been on other RT shows. Maybe he's a twin or something.
Maybe it was somebody completely different. Oh, there's a guy, Martin Ward. He was on this show, and he was with a woman, and he had a completely different name. I was like, "You sure that wasn't just a different guy?"
Let me look him up.
All right.
I love First Dates.
Yeah, I've noticed.
It's so good. Excuse me. Why it's not gay aliens on a spaceship?
What's that? Doctor Who?
Any
Yeah.
of the shows you watch.
It's
Star
true.
Trek.
It is true.
Some of the Star Wars shows.
These days, yeah. These fucking
First
days.
Dates. Yeah. First Dates is good because of the I love all the crazy decisions that the men make.
Mm.
Now, I told you about the guy who's like the Zara style dub.
No.
You know that sort of guy, he's like 25. He gets his hair cut every week. And he wears like clothes from Zara. And he was like, whenever I'm nervous and I don't know what to do, I count to 3 and I make up my mind.
Yeah.
I don't question it. It's like, I did that, I applied for this show, then I came on this show. And then throughout the episode, you could see him do the thing of counting to 3, and then he would just come out with the most batshit crazy thing. And then there's a bit at the start where, you know, they're sitting down, and the woman's like, "What are you gonna have?" And he's like, "The steak," you know. And then she's like, "Oh, it don't look so good. I don't know what I'm gonna have." And then he goes, "I'll order for you. I'll order for you. Yeah, I'll order for you." And he like, "Yeah, I'll order for you." And he like takes the menu off her, and then he's like, "Yeah, I'll order for you." And then the waitress comes over and he's like, "I'll have the steak, she'll have the chicken." And the waitress is like, "Are you ordering for her?" And he's like, "Yeah, I am." And she's like, "Are you okay with this?" Like looking at the woman. She's like, "Oh, I don't know." Because the guy is really freaky. And then he's like, "Yeah, it's grand. I'll just order for her." And he just keeps doing that.
Does he ask her any questions about what she wants? Like, are you into Chinese food? Are you into... Okay.
He doesn't ask her one question throughout the entire day. And then at one point midway through, nearly like out of nowhere, unprompted, he goes, "Okay, I think I'm getting a good sense of who you are now. You're shaping up."
Are shaping up?
And she's like, "What does that mean?" "I'm just getting a good sense of things, you know? Getting a good sense of who you are." And then you had a really interesting tactic at the end, because they'd always ask one person, they go, are you going to say yes? And they answer, and then they go, do you think she'll say no? Or what do you think she's going to say? And he goes, I'm going to say yes, and I think she's going to say no.
Okay.
And I was like, that sort of does sidestep the embarrassment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very defensive, obviously.
Did she say no?
She seemed like a Maria. She said no. I was like praying she was going to say no.
I was praying she say yes so we could see like I was praying because I'm just praying normally on morning, noon and night.
Yeah.
Point me towards Mecca.
Gareth Adeen.
Me and Homer. Shit. Yeah. Or beat me to it. Never mind.
No, I was like, if she says yes, he'll kill her. Like, that's just...
You just be there like, I don't know, she eats his last Jaffa cake. He's like, 1, 2, 3, and then going over and getting like a butcher knife,
Yeah.
I gotta do it. I counted to 3 and this was the first thing that I thought about it. I have no, I have incredibly weird decision-making stuff because that's just not a way to do it, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to even if you're a complete psychopath, weigh up the pros and cons of a decision.
Yeah.
You can't just commit to something and then be like, oh, that was the wrong one. Well, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah, commit to the first thing that comes into your head and then just never forget it. Never give up.
I have some things I want to talk about. Some of the things I want to talk about are very similar to the things that we talked about last week, but I just find them very funny. I wanted to do some roundup, but you remember we were like...
the Dáil are on holiday for 2 weeks, so what else we didn't talk about?
But I wanted to see what the op-eds would be like. Okay, what's your take on how are they going to respond to what happened last Wednesday in the Dáil, where the opposition correctly threw up a stink about government TDs getting opposition speaking time. So here are some of the headlines anyway. Or here's one. This is the sentiment that I found throughout, where none of the journalists want to defend it, but they'll have a paragraph in here. So here's from Ellen Coyne.
Right at the pod.
Yeah. To those sitting on the government side of the house, this was Micheál Martin's day, a proud moment for a devoted servant of the state to finally enjoy all of the pomp and circumstance that comes with a post-pandemic election of An Taoiseach. A man who is simply a good and decent person, as Simon Harris described him, and a moment that should taste all the sweeter after the sour way it had been denied him the day before. As proceedings started yesterday, the Ceann Comhairle cloak seemed to hang heavy on Verona Murphy, who gave a sober and at times shaken speech about the duty on TDs to conduct ourselves in a way that is befitting of the office we hold. Clearly a reference to the chaotic and poorly controlled scenes 24 hours earlier, during her first day in the job. But those in opposition seats, the real opposition seat they'll have this was the day when a government was formed with the taint of with political strokes, nods, winks and favours. When they keep mentioning fucking strokes, is that a word that you ever heard? Do you know what I mean?
I sent you that article. That was a history of political stroke politics.
Yeah.
And before that, I'd never, ever heard the phrase in my entire life.
Yeah.
It's a real Mandela.
Yeah. It's like now the way everybody started saying Fine Gael on RTE. If you tune into RTE, they go, Fine Gael minister. And I was like, what are you doing? You never said this before. Yeah. This never happened.
Yeah.
So basically, she goes on to say that a bunch of TDs were reminding Micheál Martin about doing a grubby deal with Michael Lowry and the Moriarty Tribunal. But this other line's very funny. Labour leader Ivana Bacik went studs up on Fianna Fáil for its return to stroke politics, claiming that all we need is the return of the Galway tent. But it's like that thing of just are you not mad about this as well? Should you not be mad about it?
Yeah.
But the rest of it is basically just going on about Mr. Martin's family, keenly watching from the distinguished visitors gallery, has had to recycle the carefully chosen rig-outs for what they surely hoped would be the second and final day of the Fianna Fáil leader's turbulent journey back to the office of the Taoiseach. Mr. Martin's wife Mary is a well-known and well-liked political force of nature. No, she's not. Widely regarded as Fianna Fáil's secret weapon. No, she isn't. This was evidenced during applause for Mr. Martin, which swelled to a roar when TDs turned towards where the matriarch of the Martin family was sitting. Their daughter Eva leaned over and gave her mother a kiss on the cheek. I have been blessed to have a partner in Mary who has done so much more than just keep me rooted, Mr. Martin said. No position I have held and nothing I have achieved would have been possible. It's basically just the whole thing is about how great Micheál Martin is, and isn't it great that he managed to do this thing that, like, who gives a shit? Like, I would have thought in the past, like, when somebody becomes Taoiseach, it wasn't like your inauguration or something. It's just like, okay, well, the leader of the party, there you go, now you're the Taoiseach, let's get going, do you know?
Yeah, normally it's a bit more like, you got the job, now let's get going.
Yeah, let's get on with shit. Paul Hosford, who is famous for being one of the people who broke Golfgate with Aoife Grace Moore. The headline of this one is unprecedented political storm has not helped public's perception. So it goes on and on. He talks about the storms, and then he goes on about the kind of whole thing that happened in the Dáil. But then, of course, the opposition didn't need to be so fucking mean about it. But I mean, I guess the government did do wrong. Last paragraph is where it's at, if I remember correctly. When a group of people who were elected nearly 2 months ago come together for just the second time, the public has a right to expect that it will execute its first constitutional obligation and elect a government. When that doesn't happen, it opens the door to the kind of cynicism about the political process that is genuinely not warranted but also completely understandable. The Dáil from 2016 to 2020 was fond of the phrase new politics, which was shorthand for a more collaborative approach, necessitated by the Fine Gael government's Dáil minority. We may hope that this week's... Government? The Fine Gael government's Dáil minority.
Sorry?
Fine Gael government. Oh, sorry. From the Fine Gael government's Dáil minority.
Oh, yeah.
We may hope that this week's scenes were not a new kind of new politics. What does that mean?
I have a good one here.
Yeah.
Have you seen this? I don't know the journalist, some Chinese guy, but it's called Homer's Housing Hijinks. The episode begins with Homer inheriting a small plot of land in Ireland from a distant relative. He and the family travel to claim it, only to discover it's tiny, an overgrown field in the middle of the nowhere. Homer is disappointed until he learns about Ireland's housing crisis and decides to build a mansion for himself. To build a mansion for himself and a few houses for the locals. With his usual lack of expertise, Homer starts constructing homes out of unconventional materials, including Duff beer kegs,
Duff,
hay bales, and even a giant potato, which he calls Spud Palace. Despite his chaotic methods, the houses turn out to be cozy and functional. Hey.
Okay. Can't argue with the results, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
Sure, it's a fucking mite side better than what their lot are doing now up in fucking Leinster House, huh?
I was just about to say that, yeah, you could do worse than Homer, you know? Word spreads, and soon people from all over Ireland are flocking to Homer's Simpsons estates. The Irish government takes notice. Wrong, they would never take notice.
No, they wouldn't.
And appoints Homer as Minister for Housing Solutions. Hey, is he Super Junior? Homer's policies are unconventional.
Now I really should put in that bit from The Simpsons where he goes Vice President. No, wait, Junior Vice President.
What really matters is my title. I think I'll make myself Vice President. No, wait, Junior Vice President.
I didn't put it in last week.
Homer's policies are as unconventional as his building techniques. He proposes vertical villages. We tried that. They were called the Ballymun Flats. Stacking houses on top of each other, floating homes. houseboats and rivers. Yeah, we tried that. It's called
Cabin fever. Look it up.
Mallow.
Mallow isn't even near the sea, is it? Am I right?
I'm just saying it gets flooded a lot.
That's fair. Yeah. Okay.
And sheep shared housing.
Sheep or whales, really. So.
Yeah, that's more of a Welsh thing. In a bizarre twist, Homer's ideas actually work.
Oh,
the
again?
housing
That's
crisis
funny.
begins to ease, and he becomes a national hero.
All right. He already is.
Yeah. Taoiseach offers him a permanent position, so he's Cian Corla. Hey?
He already was.
Homer declines by saying, I'm just a simple man who loves building stuff. Besides, I've got a nuclear plant to mismanage back home. The episode ends with Homer back in Springfield showing off a model of his Spud's palace to Marge. She sighs and says, Homer, you're impossible. To which he replies, no, Marge, I'm innovative.
That's very similar to the previous episode where I also think did you just wrote in Simpsons? You didn't specify Homer, did you?
I think I just said The Simpsons. Yeah.
Again, it's a Homer episode. That's like, well, except for the Bart episode. But then you wrote Bart.
Chinese love Homer.
Yeah. Fiona Sheehan writes, surely Sinn Féin leader Mary Lou MacDonald gets why Michael Lowry feels misunderstood. And there's a big picture of her out of focus in the foreground and Gerry Adams looking at her in the background. And
read that again.
Let me read it. Let me read the bit of it. Surely Sinn Féin leader Mary Lou MacDonald gets why Michael Lowry feels misunderstood.
Why?
In his final days as Taoiseach, Simon Harris gazed into the soul of the nation one last time. What the fuck? And declared the people of Ireland could see the protests in the Dáil.
He never did that.
We're just stunt politics on speed, as he blamed Mary Lou MacDonald for the chaos. People of Ireland are smart and canny, and they know exactly what happened today. Harris is correct to say the people of Ireland are smart and canny. No, they're not. And they know exactly what was happening. But people of Ireland did not see what he thinks they saw. Instead, the people of Ireland could see the stunt, stroke, ding ding, and our bingo cards there, and shabby politics that have played out since the general election. The suddenly unified left-wing opposition called out the grubby deal-making going between the civil... Whatever, I'm just going to skip ahead. Not that the Sinn Féin leader is entirely in tune with reality either. She too can be prone to ignoring the blindingly obvious, as evidenced by her attitude towards her mentor. Then it's, quote, Gerry Adams has always denied being a member of the IRA or participating in any IRA-related violence. He further denied any involvement in the murder of Jean McConville. The disclaimer features at the end of Say Nothing, the latest dramatisation of the life of Dolores Price. It's funny that the one that you were reading, like Genuine AI, and me reading this, there's almost no difference between them at all, is it? Like,
no.
Like, you're kind of looking, you're going, okay, so we're talking about what happened the other day. Now we're talking about Sinn Féin. Now we're talking about the IRA. Now we're talking about Say Nothing, the Disney show. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, it really is just like, it's like Homer loves Duff beer. So at some point in the plot, Homer Duff beer has to come into it. It's like, Gerry Adams loves the IRA.
Yeah.
So at some point, you know what I mean? We're like, Sinn Féin are in politics, so at some point IRA has to come into it. You can't bring everything back to the Troubles. No.
Well, they're not interested in the Troubles. They're only interested in the IRA as well. They'll only ever come back to the IRA. Despite a raft of evidence to the contrary over the decades, this is paragraphs ahead, he's still talking about Jean McConville. The formation of the government has a similar disclaimer. Here we go. Attached that Taoiseach Micheál Martin can read out every day in the Dáil. Michael Lowry has always denied being involved in any corruption or participating in any corruption in office. He further denied any accusations by Micheál Martin that he is a rogue politician. Along those lines, that ought to do it. Given her own blind spot for what that smart and savvy people of Ireland can see before their eyes, surely Mary Lou ought to get why Michael Lowry feels misunderstood. Before anyone claims that is the case of whataboutery and pointing the finger elsewhere to distract That's simply not true. The accusations of murder and maiming and mayhem levelled against Adams are vastly more serious than anything Lowry has ever been accused of. Hey, he's got us there. He anticipated that I would call it whataboutery.
Yeah.
And therefore he has won the argument.
That's it. And he said it wasn't. So
my favourite one that was done is the Pat Leahy wrote about it, obviously. Angry scenes were partly the result of Sinn Féin's determination to be a more aggressive opposition. So it's Sinn Féin's fault. But like in typical Leahy fashion, you're like reading down through it and you're just like, he'll approach making a point and then he'll retreat. And then he'll approach making a point and then he'll retreat. And then he'll say something and then he'll say a bunch of waffle and then he'll go, in conclusion, Libya is a land of contrast. And that's the end of the fucking thing. But this is what I just thought that the paragraph, this is the most obnoxious thing at the start. One of the questions we political journalists get asked a lot on the rare occasion we are invited into polite company is about the true nature of politicians. What are they really like? How long have you got? I reply.
Yeah. Let me just get up Deepseek here.
Yeah, actually, Jeff, you just asked Deepseek what are politicians like? Can you just do and then we'll know what Pat Leahy thinks about it.
I wonder if it knows who Pat Leahy is.
There's another more famous Pat Leahy in America who is slightly better, but is still a Democrat. So, there, I'm going to read the last paragraph. None of this is remotely to justify the government's attempted Sleevenism. So obviously he just tried to attempt to do that. For now, Martin looks like a man in a hurry. He may not be old, but he knows time ticks on. What? He may not be old. I'm just going to take that again. He may not be old, okay? But he knows time ticks on fast in the Taoiseach's office. He also knows how slow the Irish system could be to turn decisions into delivery. When he was last Taoiseach, he burned through phone batteries, ringing senior officials in varying departments as he quizzed them and prodded them on his evening walks. They can expect to see a familiar number ringing fairly soon. Back in the Dáil, the new Taoiseach can expect to be resisted at every turn. If this week is any indication, a rough and raw few years are ahead for Irish politics. So by the end of it, he's made it the opposition's fault that the government was trying to steal speaking time from them.
Write a short article in the style of Irish journalist Pat Leahy about Sinn Féin. That was the prompt.
You could have said it about something innocuous, just to see if it would include Sinn Féin.
Oh, right. Write a short article in the style of Irish journalist Pat Leahy about Irish politics. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The shifting sands of Irish politics, a new era of division and opportunity. We'll just see how long it takes to get to Sinn Féin.
Yeah.
Irish politics, once defined by civil war era rivalry between Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, has entered a new and unpredictable phase. The old uncertainties are gone, replaced by a landscape where Sinn Féin rise has reshaped the rules of the game, and where traditional parties scramble to adopt a more fragmented and volatile electorate. So one paragraph. Halfway through the first paragraph, Sinn Féin. Sinn Féin, once a political pariah due to its historical ties to the IRA, has reinvented itself as a standard bearer of change. It really does get it, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Micheál Martin, I'm just going through looking at little bites.
Yeah.
Micheál Martin's leadership, while steady, has failed to reignite the party's historical appeal. And Fine Gael's attempt to rebrand itself as the party of fiscal responsibility have fallen flat. I don't think he'd be that critical.
No.
Yeah, that was it. It nailed it.
Stephen Collins writes in the Irish Times, scenes of chaos and bullying in Dáil will have done nothing for the reputation of politicians.
Fuck off. Calling it bullying is so insane.
You know,
isn't it? Like, she tried to rush through an incredibly insane. It's like, with the current government, it's like, the very idea that there are super juniors is being challenged as unconstitutional. And they think it's going to hold.
Interesting.
It is unconstitutional. And then they try to give government politicians' opposition speaking time.
Yeah.
And then the Count Corlett tries to rush these things through to get or just ignore them to get a Taoiseach elected.
Yeah.
And then the opposition is like, this isn't happening. And then somehow that's bullying.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure why we're even fucking talking about this. How does this even happen? And like, again, if you were to crack open the opinion section, they're just like, Trump, 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 Musk, 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 you know, like all this type of stuff of like, you know, where our precious norms that are constantly being violated. And then when it's happening in Ireland, they are like, they're so uninterested. They're so bored by they're so antagonistic towards anybody who's pointing it out. And it's just like, it creates these very strange articles where people are just basically trying to avoid talking about whatever's at the heart of the whole thing. It's like, I get it. It's, you know, but like, I think about how Micheál Martin's wife felt when everybody was yelling. Probably afraid, you know? This powerhouse of a woman. She's probably very upset that a bunch of people were yelling in Leinster House, you know?
Yeah. Was she there?
Yeah, they all came up for it.
What does she look like?
She's a normal woman. Also, speaking of bullying
sad
as
looking
well.
as he is.
No, she looks kind of...
I'd love to bully her.
she actually looks kind of nice, like just like a sweet lady. I don't know if she might be horrible. I don't
What's
know,
her name?
But like Mary Martin. God, what a name!
Incredible.
So this is so this was an article I was looking at where it's like no deal whatsoever made with Michael Lowry during government negotiations, says Taoiseach, which is
bullshit.
Such a lie.
Absolute bullshit.
Such a lie.
Like there's one thing that man does, and it's do deals. Like he's just doing deals, regardless if they're even legal or not. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, the guy who's famous for doing corrupt deals all the time. Well, we didn't do a deal with him.
You know, the party that's also famous for doing corrupt deals with people and also desperate deals in order to stay in power and deny it to any other party, to Sinn Féin in particular. But I love that. So the reason I wanted to bring it up though is because at one point he says, speaking Rosscommon on Tuesday, Mr. Martin denied that he had made any agreement with Tipperary North TD, but said that he's not, blah, 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 whatever. We understood it was a process last week prior to any disruption that there would be a resolution to the ongoing row. There was a mechanism more or less agreed. That was the Dáil Reform Business Committee. It's still meeting. We're committed to a resolution of it. It's not as simple as been articulated across the board. Mr. Martin said the proposed arrangement would preclude him from speaking, blah, 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 blah. So he goes, it's interesting when people argue, for example, that anyone involved in negotiating the programme for government shouldn't get speaking time in the opposition. That would have ruled out confidence in supply. That would have ruled out the confidence in supply arrangement that Fianna Fáil had from 2016 to 2020.
Yeah, but they're not. First of all, I don't like confidence in supply.
No.
Second of all, they're not the same thing. Like the regional independents are in the government. They're in the government. They're ministers and super juniors. Like they're in the government.
Yeah, but like
they're just.
There is that, okay, but then the other thing was, why did they create the confidence and supply agreement so they could retain the illusion that there was a difference between opposition and the governing parties, okay?
Yeah.
Which is exactly what they were trying to do by taking opposition speaking time with the Rural Independence Group, okay? And anyway, just the point, he's like, oh, you know that kind of thing that we just pulled out of our arse that we just did? Well, you know, you liked that. And I was like, well, I didn't like that. You're like, okay, well, nevertheless.
Wait, then you're going to love this. You said you liked the other thing?
Well, wait. Green Party TD leader, actually, Roger O'Gorman, called on the Taoiseach to exercise leadership and tell Michael Lowry that it is simply a political non-starter. When it comes down to it, everybody knows that for the rig to have... I love the way it's called rig as well, which is also very funny. The Rural Independent Group, like when it's, you know...
Oh, yeah.
The acronym is RAGE. To have sleeper agents in opposition while still voting for the government will not be tolerated by the members of the Dáil. I just find it funny that they interviewed him. It's like one fucking guy whose party was in government and got completely destroyed. He gets the reply to this. He also, by the way, he wrote an article for the Journal, and I was like, because, you know, you can't see it. You didn't have a visual there, folks, but James put up his only put up his bloody middle finger when I was talking there about Roderick O'Gorman. And I got to say, I was doing the same thing looking at my computer screen when I read opinion. We don't need a new occupied territories bill. Improve this one and pass it quickly, says Roderick O'Gorman, an opinion piece he wrote for the Journal. You're like, you should get in the fuck.
I knew I liked this chap. I knew I liked this guy. You know what I mean? He couldn't do it when he was in government, but fair play, he thinks they should do it now. That's
so this is the guy.
Man.
This is the guy that you hounded. You hounded. This is the party. You know, yeah.
Like, you might like him, but he's on your side. You know, like that's one of those things where it's like I know everyone says this about politicians, but does he have no shame? Like,
no, he genuinely has no shame.
Like, does he have? Like, it's so like that's crazy to say. Like, it's so insane to say that. Like, how? Like, what's going on under that thin scrape of hair? You know?
Remember, like, because so in the plan for government 2020, Nessa Horgan was in there, and she was apparently trying to get the Occupied Territories Bill. It was a non-starter. She was asked later on what happened to the Occupied Territories Bill. They said Simon Coveney happened to the not occupied territories. Yeah. That's what she said. The Greens were negotiating the plan for government. The Green Party, the Green Party plan for government that he co-signed, knowing that the Occupied Territories Bill was deliberately removed by the government. Yeah. Okay, and now he's like, you know, they should really keep that in. I was like, you know, you could have, if you really cared about it at any fucking time, you could have left. Okay, like the Greens could have left at any fucking time, and especially when he became leader. Like, I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah, like the Greens really got used as a mud guard in a lot of ways, but it's mad how they really had so much power. Like, they're a small party that they could have just pulled out of the government at any time.
Yeah,
and that has to give you a lot of leverage. Do you know what I mean? And they just did not use it at all.
Well, I mean, they obviously didn't want to use it. I mean, that's just it.
No. And it just makes so much more crazy to come out with this.
Yeah.
Now.
Mary Martin.
That's the end of the free bit. Go to patreon.com/CelticLigers and hear the rest where the Ligers watch a clip of Micheál Martin showing contempt for a woman in Rosscommon. Leo Varadkar's take on the opposition not smiling and accepting speaking time being taken. Gerry Adams writes an article about Starmer blocking compensation to himself and 300 others.